of you know me. I'm Wendy Zerara, and I'm the branch manager here at the Kenmore Library. You know, Mark is a prolific musician and songwriter, and also very active in the addiction and recovery community here in Akron. So that is the theme of tonight's program. So happy to have you here today, Mark. And without further ado, I'd like to get started. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey everybody, my name is Marc Lee Shannon. I'm an alcoholic and addict in long-term recovery. That sounds better, softer. Your own self-destruction from booze and cigarettes became the latest entry in the book of your regrets as we ride, taking the train. She was overworked and tired. Do you have a white line? She was on the streets and hungry when he asked for one more dime as we ride, taking the train to nowhere fast as we ride, taking the train. Well, it seems I must have rode this train for a million years. I can't remember how we got here, and my destination's no longer clear. It's no longer here as we ride, taking the train to nowhere fast as we ride, taking that train. Well, he said he'd seen it all, but his desire, it went sour. He was extraordinary, more than 835 an hour as we ride, taking the train to nowhere fast as we ride, taking that train. So if you got something going, don't give up too soon. Do what you believe and be yourself. There's always room as we ride, taking the as we ride, taking that as we ride, taking the train. To nowhere, to nowhere fast. That's a song that was written by my friend Kim Rogers, and I used to play with her during my days in Los Angeles during the 80s, and that was probably when I realized for the very first time that something wasn't right with me. You know, I think that when I go back and tell my story, it probably should start at the beginning. I grew up into a household that was different than the rest of the kids in the neighborhood, and I think that paints a lot of walls. So we'll just leave it at that, but I can tell you that I grew up in an environment where I felt like I always had to take care of myself, and that wasn't always a bad thing. I learned how to cook, I could learn how to do laundry, I was really good at cleaning, I was really good at staying away from grown-ups that would hurt me, and so I learned pretty well that I could take care of myself. One of the disadvantages of growing up in a household like that is I never asked for help. And that was the first chapter of the book of my regrets on my journey to becoming an addict and an alcoholic. My using as an alcoholic and addict had 3 stages. The first stage was, guess what? This is fun. I'm having a good time, you know. Be out with my friends. All of a sudden, when I found alcohol, I think I had to be about 14 years of age. There's 3 things I remember about that first time I got drunk. And pretty much every time I ever drank, I got drunk. I remember 3 things about it. Number 1 was what it tastes like going down, what it tastes like coming up, and waking up next to a stinky, smelly toilet, you know. So I didn't like it, and I didn't want to do it. So I found other things that I did back in the days when you could ride around with your friends and vans that had like really cool designs on the outside of them. They had captain's chairs and the little vent that came up at the top, and all the paneling, and sometimes, you know, the shag rug in it. So if you ever rode in one of those, you know that the guy driving it always had a name, Freebo or something like that. You know, he was always like, you know, Rainbow or something. He always had that name. And you drove around and you went to Kent, and you tried to avoid that little stretch going up from Akron through Kent, and you know which one I'm talking about because you always had to be careful during that part of the town. But it was always pretty normal to me. I didn't really feel like I did anything differently. Like I say, the first stage was this is fun. And it wasn't until I moved to California and after I had my first record deal, and that kind of fell apart, and I got accepted into a school in Los Angeles, and I went out there at 20 years of age and didn't know what I was doing and didn't care because I was okay. But you know, it was right out there and during that period in the 80s where I was introduced to other drugs that everybody seemed to be doing. One of them was cocaine. And that's truly where the first time I felt that I was out of control. I guess some of the signs, you know, there could have been a lot of road signs for me, you know, I mean, breaking into your friend's house when he's away, and even when you had the key, what? Why did I need to break in? I guess it was something to do with that crazy white powder. You know, I mean, you know, there was a lot of road signs, you know, that I could have seen. But I'll tell you what, let's play a little bit more music. I do this kind of extemporaneously, so I sort of have a plan, and sometimes I just like to play a little music in between things. So here's another song for you. Which one will it be? Okay, here's go. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I was a little worried that there'd be enough seats. I'm really glad it worked out, you know. It'll sound better with some of this line. Oh yeah. Here's a song I used to sing in my bedroom when I couldn't seem to find the door out of it later in that night. My little house that I had my room set up upstairs. This is the back door to my heart. Oh, but don't you tell a soul that I've given you the keys to these rooms inside of me. Don't you let nobody know. This is the color of my pain, yeah. Dusty blue and midnight rain. Might be asking for too much, hoping somehow with your touch you can make these colors fade. On the end of the way, just around the corner, knocking at my door. I'll be gone by morning. If you could only step inside me, yes, take a candle to the dark. This is the back door to my heart, yeah. See these lines on my face, the too long standing in the wind, a testament to my mistakes, the choices that I made. I won't tell you where I've been, no, 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 no. Oh, the end of the way, just around the corner, knocking at my door. I'll be gone by morning. You can only step inside me, yes, take a candle to the dark. This is the back door to my heart, yeah. This is the back door to my heart, yeah. This is the back door to my heart, yeah. Thanks. So, what happened next? Well, I even when I was living in LA, I was still really in stage one of denial. I could go to work, I could do what I needed to do, and then on the weekends I could have fun. But slowly but surely, what I understand about addiction, what I understand about recovery, is that modern science will tell me that it's a disease. Now, if that word is uncomfortable to you, then you can call it an illness, but we all know we're not right. I was really at the first stage, and every disease has four main tenets, and the first one is that it's primary, as a primary brain disease. Primary means it wasn't caused by something else. I'm not an alcoholic because I'm a diabetic. I'm not an alcoholic because I might have fallen down. I might not be an alcoholic because my mom dropped me. I don't think she did, but she might have. But I'm not an alcoholic because of anything else, except that science tells us that I might have had a predisposition to it genetically, or possibly I behaved myself into it. Meaning that I ingested so many chemicals into my brain over a long period of time that my body decided that, yep, we like that reward, we're gonna change the way you think about it. And so the midbrain gets activated and says, yep, we want that, give us more of that. The third thing I know about addiction and recovery is that it's chronic, which means that unless you get treatment, it doesn't go away. I can't tell you how many times I tried to fix myself. You know, if I just don't drink that dark liquor, you know, it's that dark liquor. No, if I don't hang out with her, she's the problem, you know? Or if I don't go to that bar and hang out with those people, because every time I go to that bar, you know what I mean? Or maybe if I drink milk before I go out, or if I do it on a full stomach, no, empty stomach, because that didn't work. Only drink on Tuesdays, but not Thursdays. And then Friday, I will just have one drink, and then Saturday, and Sunday. So you can see the insanity of it all, that once your brain starts changing in the midbrain, takes over and shuts down the prefrontal cortex, as scientists will tell us, it's all over for me. The next stage in every disease, besides being primary, chronic, is it's progressive. And that means that no matter how hard I try, once I made the turn into being a full-blown addict and alcoholic, there was nothing I could do unless I got it treated. It was gonna get worse. And let me tell you something. We got stories. Not enough time here on our little clock here for me to tell you just how it happened. But you know, little things like, oh, I don't know, where you know that maybe you might have a problem, like crashing your company car, that might have been a sign for me that I had a problem, and then driving home and then pretending that it didn't happen, or driving home and ending up in someone else's driveway and banging on the front door going, what? Why won't you let me in? It doesn't work. And they come out and go, you live over there. Yeah, that didn't happen 3 or 4 times. Seeing your kids, seeing you in a way you don't want to be. And those things are indelibly inscribed into your memory. And finally, the fourth thing, with every disease, whether it's MS, diabetes, cancer, leukemia, the fourth and final tenet of the 4 pillars of disease is that you will die. 3 times in the IC unit, 3 times doctors are telling me, Mr. Shannon, you have a problem. You need to get treatment. You know what happens when a type 2 diabetic doesn't eat for 9 straight days and drinks straight vodka every day? Maybe injects a Burger King chicken sandwich, which will kill you in and of itself, right? Yeah, it's the ICU for me. And I can't tell you how many times I got out of there and I said to myself, this is the time. I'm gonna stop. The problem was the pronouns. I, me, I can do it. In the way we look at the stigma attached to addiction and recovery, knowing that it's a disease, so many of us look at people that are subject to mental health issues, trauma, affected by alcoholism, and we say, that person, they just have a character problem. But none of us would say that about a person that had cancer. So let's, for just a second, continue that dialogue. If you just go to the gym, you'll get rid of that cancer. What's wrong with you? Now don't eat that, don't quit eating that's what gives you that cancer. Can't you just please stop having that cancer? Please, don't you see what you're doing to your kids? Can't you see it? What's wrong with you? You're ruining your family and your job and everything now. Just stop that cancer. You can see how the dialogue doesn't make any sense. Modern addiction recovery treatment tells us all that those things don't work. There's only one way you can get well, and that is recognizing that you're not a piece of, you're not a bad person, you're a sick person. So let's fast forward, since we don't have a whole lot of time, and maybe this might be a good time for another song, you think? I think. Let me see. That might be good. Mr. Shannon, play another song for us. Okay, I will. All right. You got me thinking about Mr. Jeff. I always thought that faith would help me. I always thought that if I prayed harder, I could get well. I can't tell you how many nights I woke up in the middle of the night and went down on my knees. But that wasn't the decision that was going to get me well. work gets done, you can no longer see, yeah. Let my love cast a spark, baby, yeah, and have a little faith in me. When the tears you cry, oh, you can't believe it, yeah. Live this loving arms and shine, baby, have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me, yeah. Have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me, yeah. See, what I needed most was faith in myself. I kept looking outside of myself, you know, blame it on somebody else. It wasn't my fault I got drunk last night. You wouldn't have just made me mad. If those kids would just listen. My job is so hard they don't know. My ex-wife, I'll leave that one alone. Lord help me. When your secret heart, baby, cannot speak so easily, yeah. Just come here, darling, from a whisper star now. Yes, and have a little faith in me. When your back's against the wall, yeah, just turn around and you will see. I will catch you fall, baby, now, and have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me, yeah. Have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's fair to say that I tried everything. I knew I had a problem. I knew it was getting worse. After a while, people said to me, "How did you know?" I didn't have much schooling. I didn't have much knowledge of what it was doing to me, but I knew two things. I knew one, I would tell myself, I'm not going to drink today. And I couldn't do it. And the second one, once I started, it was all over. The night was going to end. And it wasn't going to go well. Have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me. Oh yeah. Thank you. So fast forward to the summer of 2014. 2012, I don't really remember that well. I know I was a big shot Mr. Fancy Pants wearing a suit, VP of sales for a major audio company that made guitar amplifiers based in England, you could probably guess. Traveling around the world. At that point I had been on the road for 20 years, maybe 23, traveling 2 to 3 weeks a month. And I was worn down. My durability had crashed. But, you know, if you'd asked me, I was doing great. Because I was making that money, you know. I had the house, I had the car. Oh, you need some money? I'll give you some money. But I was empty. And by now I'm divorced. Big surprise. Now I can barely talk to my children because they've lost all faith in me. There was no faith to be found. Because I had told them time and again, your dad's got this time. Yeah, I meant it every single time. So what happened? It was another stretch of 7, 8, 9 days, straight vodka. And I had been seeing this girl, and she broke into my house and set me up in bed and slapped me in the face, which I guess I remember. And she said to me, if you want to live, I'll take you to detox. If you want to die, I'm leaving you here. I was told later that it took me several minutes to decide whether I wanted to live or not. And I think that's the place where we all get to, where we can all look back and say, yeah, that was the moment. So I got lucky. I went to Akron General Hospital, and they had a bed for me at the renowned St. Thomas Hospital. And I started detox. And they put me on the phenobarbital. And I remember looking at the floor, and it had like one of those old linoleum floors, and there was all kinds of shapes and colors going on. It was badass. It was so cool. There were like little trains going around the room, and people were talking to me. They weren't there, but we were having great conversations. And it was, I guess, a dream. And that was the first day. The second day was really good because I quit pooping myself, and that was good. Really good. I had some tomato soup and poop. And so it was a third day where I could get up, and I was able to go to a 12-step meeting, and I started listening to the hope of a new life. And the monologue and the dialogue that was coming into my brain through the people that I finally just started to listen to, who said, you're not a bad person, Marc Lee Shannon. You're sick. You've got a medical problem you've got to resolve. And that requires a period of long-term abstinence. And I wanted to believe. So I was tired. I was very tired. So it was there in that ward at St. Thomas that I had a moment. And, you know, I talk about it, but it's private to me. But I can tell you that I had an awakening of sorts. I had a mission and a calling that said to me, if you can just stay sober, maybe you can do something that might be able to help other people. And for some reason or another, that was a turning point to me. And I had it that fourth night in the detox ward. So I got out of there and promptly made it through 6 weeks and drank again. And unfortunately, one thing you don't realize when you're an addict or an alcoholic is you have to go through a physical transformation. Like any disease, you don't just get cured from cancer, you don't get just cured from diabetes, you don't just get cured from MS, you don't just get cured from a disease. It requires a course of treatment. And for me, what I've learned in the course of treatment for being an addict and an alcoholic is that there's 3 things I know. Number 1, I can't use anything on any level ever again. 0. There's no more, you know, let's stop at the bar, have a drink, come home, make a sandwich, play some guitar, watch diners, drive-ins, and dives. That doesn't work. There's no more, hey, I'd like to try that Zinfandel at dinner. Nope, because what happens after the Zen is Marc Lee starts zenning all over the room, and that's an ugly thing. It's kind of like I have a peanut allergy, but it's not peanuts. And 1 drink is all I need. Because I had to learn that lesson that whole summer of 2015. That whole summer of 2014, sorry. And 3 or 4 more times, through the anger that I had of the life that I had created for myself, once I woke up, got sober, and saw it, I had what they call slight relapses. But I did something that changed the course for me, my trajectory, and that was I got hold of an outpatient program called IOP at Edwin Shaw, and I hooked up with a tough old bird who really helped me. And every time I would relapse, she would say to me, "What's going on? What's the stress?" And she used my brain. And so finally on November 9th, a deep dark day, I had my last drink. And since November 10th of 2014, I'm happy to say that I am completely been sober, free from alcohol and drugs. And that's almost 7 years. So no matter how loud you're clapping, I'm clapping for me a little louder inside. Because the truth of the matter is, if you'd have told me 7 years ago that I'd be standing in front of you all talking about my recovery and having been sober for this long, I would have bet against you. I had tried everything. During one of those last relapses when I felt so terribly exasperated, it was about probably 5 in the morning, and I was waiting for the Sunoco station at the end of the street to open up because you can go down there and you can get wine. You know, that great big jug of red wine that you're going to throw up because you're drinking it and it tastes really pretty terrible, but you're thinking it'll do, you know? And then you do the thing where you get out in the car and you got in the car and you look around and you take it over there and half of it's on your shirt. But if you're an alcoholic, you don't care. And I used to love to go in there and just got off the night shift. Driving up in a BMW. What's wrong with it? But the words for this song came out one morning. When I was watching my neighbors go to work, and I knew I wasn't going to make it today. And it was going to be another lost day. Another call to my employer. Another excuse, another beg to a friend, please go get me something. Another lie to myself. When you're feeling down and your spirit's weak, when you slip or fall, just believe. If the morning finds you after your last call, a big empty pocket full of small, count me in. If you need a step up, count me in. When you count yourself out, when you need a hand to hold, count me in. People think I write this song for somebody else. The truth is, the words were for myself. I was talking to myself. Gotta count on something, brother. If a bad decision seemed to rule your day, I'll be there to get you far away. When you need a strong hand that can hold on tight, turn all the darkness into light. Count me in. If you need a step up, count me in. When you count yourself out, when you need a hand to hold, count me in. When the nights surround you and you lost your way, I'll be right there, right here, just call my name. When you're feeling down and your spirit's weak, when you slip or fall, just believe. Count me in if you need a step up. Count me in when you count yourself out. When you need a hand to hold, count me in. Count me in. Count me in. So the first few miles, I will tell you, in any change of life, are interesting. I guess I had to change just one thing, everything. That meant new friends. That meant the work I was doing. I had realized that the chronic stress of a high stress job no longer served me well. And it didn't matter about money, it didn't matter about house, it didn't matter about car, because I was gonna be dead if I drank again. So I knew that I had to change those things. I also had to find out what was meaningful to me now in my life. And I knew that it was the key relationships in my life that I had somehow lost along the way. So I went to work. I got involved heavily in a community-based recovery program, and I suggest that very strongly. I got involved with someone who was a trail guide to me and mentored me, sponsored me through a program of recovery. I started learning about the science and the neuroscience of addiction to help me understand what was going on with my body. Why did I feel so crappy? You know? Why did I have these patches where I couldn't remember things? I remember I had called one of my assistants at work, and this person who was so kind to me kind of was sharp with me. She said, "Mr. Shannon, are you aware you just called me 20 minutes ago to ask me that same question?" I hadn't been, was not aware. There were great holes in my cognitive processing. And because the synapses weren't firing in my brain and the neurotransmitters needed to get that glutamate coated on it to get those pathways big. Think of it this way, you know, my recovery path had been overgrown, like a path you're on in the field. I had to walk down it a lot before all of a sudden, you know, it became a clear path. Now that thing's a 6-lane highway, I can tell you. It doesn't suck. But it took a while, that first few miles. And I mentioned the 3 things I know. The first thing was obviously a clear path of abstinence. The second one was joining a group of people that were just like me. "Oh, you crashed your car?" "Yeah, man, I crashed my car." "Oh, yeah? Oh, you lost your job?" "Yeah, man, I lost my..." "Oh, I lost my job." Right. Oh, you peed your pants?" "Yeah, I peed my pants." "Oh, you peed your pants?" "I peed my pants." You know? "Well, you did?" "Yeah." "You're not peeing your pants right now, though, are you?" No. "Okay, that's cool. If you are, that's all right. We'll help you. It's all right." I made it through a year. My middle son told me, gave me the greatest gift. He said to me, "Dad, I don't worry about you anymore." That's when I knew I was on my way. Now here I am 7 years later almost. And it's been up and down. Just because you get into recovery, you're in a program of recovery, does not mean that life does not happen to you. Trust me, life still happens. It shows up at your front door, dogs barking, door banging, red lights flashing, in the rain, people wanting $20. And the difference is now is I have a toolbox to work on my life. When those things happen, like say, I don't know, your phone dies, like it did today, and I spent 4 hours at the phone guy's store looking at the phone guy like a cat looks at the TV late at night, going, well, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And in the old days, that would have been, that's a really good excuse to go get that bottle of potato vodka, right? You gotta get the good stuff if you're really messed up, right? But no, what I did is I picked up the phone and I called a friend of mine in recovery and said, I can't believe this happened to me. And he said, oh, really? And this guy likes to say to me every time I get a little butt hurt, he says to me, so, did you eat today? Well, yeah, I had some lunch. I went across the street. Oh, okay. Do you have clean clothes and fresh water to drink? Well, yeah, man, I got a water bottle. It's really cool. It's right here. I just got it. Oh, okay. You have a car to drive? Yeah, man, I got a car last summer. It was pretty cool. 2018, it's a hybrid, man. It's cool. Oh. You have a warm place to sleep tonight? Well, yeah, man, I got a pad right down here in the falls, Oh. You got friends to call? Well, yeah, man, I'm calling you, but I might not be calling you anymore unless you tell me what this is all about. He said, you got everything you need. I have everything I need in my life. As long as I'm sober, as long as I can live today, 24 hours a day, as a person in long-term recovery, I have everything I need. It's not money that's going to make me happy. It's not a new relationship. It's not a new guitar. Wait a minute. No, a new guitar might make me a little bit happy. There's a lot of things that I don't take for granted anymore, that I'm alive again and in the world. And I guess the biggest thing is, and I'll end with this song, the biggest thing for me is, I should get the words up because I do have short-term memory loss. There it is. Thank you. The biggest thing I have in my life now is I live in the present moment. There was a time where you could have written in magic marker across my head, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? So full of stress. I don't look back because, that's the little rear view mirror. I don't live there anymore. It's long gone. I've learned to forgive myself 100 times a day. I could never do that before. I need to say the words that I've learned over the years. Please help me when I need help. I would never say those words before. I don't take for granted the things that I have in my life. The people, most important things. My spiritual teachings. The way it feels to be able to stand up in front of you all today and tell my story. I don't take that for granted. But the most thing I remember, and I try to remember all the time, is like a friend of mine said to me in recovery. He said, imagine yourself wearing a military uniform. And take a look at your left forearm there. See those hash marks? You earned them. You earned them. My life has more mistakes and mishaps and dents than a junkyard. And I'm so restless for what is to come. All I ever do is work hard. And when one door opens, another one shuts. Don't give up. When it slams in your face, it's no disgrace if you don't give up. You know that faith is often blind, and time is way beyond my comprehension. And they say love is all you really need when the money gets too tight to mention. And when one door opens, another one shuts. Don't give up. If it slams in your face, it won't be a disgrace if you don't give up. I've learned that sometimes you gotta let go, let God, leave it up to someone else's hands. 'Cause there are things way beyond our control, even with our best laid plans. And when one door opens, another one shuts. Don't give up. When it slams in your face, it won't be a disgrace if you don't give up. If you don't give up, no matter what they say, just don't give up. Don't give up, yeah. And that's my story. If I'm lucky, I can get through the day and be thankful for everything I have with as much gratitude. Like a friend of mine says, the moral for today is put your GR in front of your attitude. Gratitude. Thanks everybody for coming out, and thanks for being here tonight. Namaste to everyone.